Petition. On behalf of myself and other past mayors, I would like to thank Maureen Neve, our trusty mayoral assistant, for her hard work organising events and managing the mayoral diary. Maureen is retiring soon and will be spending time travelling abroad and at home, and spending time working on her already beautiful gardens. Can I ask the Mayoresses Committee, Lorna Thatchell and Ida Carmichael to present on behalf of the Mayor, presentation of flowers and I'll go first. Maureen, this is from me. Thank you for all the hard work you've done for the last, is it 30 odd years?
Almost 31 years.
Almost 31 years. You've been a fixture out here. Yeah. So I hope you enjoy your retirement. This is from me. Please enjoy your retirement, and I hope you enjoy all your travels abroad.
This is a certificate of appreciation from all the past mayors. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Tatchell, going to be with us. Coming in today. Thank you very much. And secondly, on behalf of the Mayoral Committee, which have helped to serve for, I don't know how many years, 15 you might like that. Thank you very much. Enjoy your retirement and your grandchildren up in Australia. Thank you very much.
Maureen, on behalf of past mayors, and you've served quite a few, myself included, enjoy and make the most of your retirement.
You can do if you want, whilst everybody...
Short and sweet. It's been...
Would you like a mic?
No, I'm okay. It's been an entertaining almost 31 years. I've enjoyed each department I've worked in, had some great managers and worked with a lot of great people and hard-working council employees here. The public don't really appreciate all they do, but it's been blessed and I'm excited to retire. So thank you.
Thank you. I am delighted to share with members that I've recently received confirmation from the Royal Navy that the new HMS Active, a Type 31 frigate currently under construction, will be affiliated with the Borough of Burnley as was her predecessor, the Type 21 frigate commissioned in 1977. I have written to the Navy Command and I look forward to re-establishing the bond and fostering a meaningful relationship with the ship and her crew and engaging with all sectors of our community. I must thank our very own former Navy crew member, David Foggy Bristow, who has been heavily involved in getting us to this stage. Thank you. Also, I have a curry night on Monday, 28th April 2024. Good curry, good company, and raising money for charity. please do come. Tickets are available from myself or Matthew, the Mayor's Secretary. Thank you. Item number 4, public question time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Ian Chapman is here to present a petition on battery storage facilities.
Thank you. Mr. Chapman, you have up to 5 minutes to present your petition.
Thank you. My name is Ian Chapman, and I'm the organiser of this petition. May I thank the Mayor and the councillors for tonight for me to present my petition. My petition is to show and highlight the oversupply, backlog of connections of bogus applications of wind, solar farms and battery energy storage facilities within the UK connections network for net zero 2050. A petition of over 1,600 signatures are included, which are to be put forward to Burnley Borough Council at the meeting tonight, Wednesday, 16th of April, 2025. What I would like the council as a whole to consider are set out below. What I would like the council to do is undertake, explore, evaluate, gather relative information and to discuss in detail their own knowledge and understanding of our government's position into the failing national infrastructure and the major upheaval required of our electricity network to support renewable energy nationwide and particularly within the Borough of Burnley. There is also a need to discuss by yourselves at Burnley Council the underlying major issues caused by the backlog of planning applications, network connections and phantom projects, upwards of 1,700 schemes, being brought forward into the connections process nationally and locally, and how it is affecting the Borough of Burnley and its own commitment to its climate emergency plan. I would also like you to consider how, as a council, that you could set new or revise life policies or add conditions, supplementary planning documents to help advise on planning applications to accommodate renewable energy, i.e. wind farms, battery storage or solar farms within Burnley Borough, without it being detrimental to the open aspect and encroachment into the green belt of our countryside. Our government has set targets to achieve nationally determined contributions to 2030 to reduce carbon emissions by 68% as part of the Paris Agreement. The UK government has also pledged to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to net zero by 2050 to help with global warming. Burnley Council also, along with nationwide councils, announced a climate emergency action plan in 2022 to 2026 to help support our government and our borough in trying to achieve these targets. Unfortunately, there is now a connections queue of renewables and battery storage facilities of over 739 gigawatts as of December 2024. These figures represent a figure almost double of what is required to meet our government's net zero targets of 2050, even in the worst and most optimistic case scenario. To place things into perspective, the Mayoral form battery storage facility application on Greenhead Lane, but it's in Pendle, of 50 megawatts in size, amounts to only 0.019% of the 258 gigawatts of battery storage facilities nationwide contained within our nation's connections backlog. On Friday, the 10th of January 2025, the House of Lords Industry and Regulations Committee began its inquiry into the energy grid and grid connections by hearing from Charles Wood, Deputy Director of Policy Energy UK. Collectively, they have recognised there is now such a huge backlog in oversupply of schemes waiting in the pipeline to be either offered a connection, waiting to be connected, having plans passed, that NESO have asked for a pause in applications up to the end of May 2025. There were further statements put out which gave informed data that there is more than enough in the system to meet demand, not only to 2030, but even further beyond net zero 2050.
You've got a minute, Mr. Chapman.
It's done now. When you see that these figures contained within the petition, which were produced in September 2024, they have now accelerated exponentially to more than 746 gigawatts in November 2024, an additional 219 gigawatts, when a total of 275 gigawatts is required to meet net zero 2050. astounding figures which only puts to bed that the UK do not require any more projects for the next 25 years. I would like Burnley Council to do is their own research based on some of the information supplied to recognise and ascertain if Burnley Borough Council fully understand the nation's and local issues which could have a material consideration in decision making on renewable energy and battery storage applications within the borough. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. You may now return to your seat.
Can I just present this now to the lady from Petition?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Give your time, everybody.
Thank you. Councillor Lubna Khan, will you please respond to Mr. Chapman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Chapman, for coming this evening and bringing this before council. I believe a written response is to be sent to yourself, but I think for the benefit of the chamber, it'd be nice for everyone to know what the response is from the council. We understand that the government intends to publish a comprehensive 10-year infrastructure strategy in June this year. It published a 10-year infrastructure strategy working paper in January of 2025, setting out its plan for this strategy. It's committed to creating the National Infrastructure and Service Transformation Authority to oversee the implementation of the strategy. A key part of the strategy will be to ensure that energy transmission and distribution networks can deliver clean energy by 2030 and support achieving net zero by 2050. In March 2025, the government published the Planning and Infrastructure Bill. According to the government, the bill includes measures to speed up the delivery of electricity infrastructure to meet the government's ambition to decarbonise the power sector as set out in the Clean Power 2030 Action Plan. I will take points 2 and 3 of your petition together. The Council assesses planning applications in line with its local plan and national policy, including the National Planning Policy Framework. Following a change to national policy issued through a written ministerial statement on onshore wind energy on the 8th of July 2024, the NPPF was updated on the 12th of December 2024 and includes a stronger focus on climate change. This confirmed the WMS changes and the other key energy-related updates. These include a new paragraph, which is paragraph 163, requiring climate change to be considered in all planning applications. The policy not requiring applicants to demonstrate the overall need for renewable or low-carbon energy remains. Amendments to paragraph 168, directing local planning authorities to give significant weight to, as opposed to recognise, the benefits of renewable and low-carbon energy generation projects and their contribution to net zero. Giving renewable and low-carbon energy generation projects significant weight does not mean that they must be approved. It means that you must, it means that you must give significant positive weight to these benefits in the planning balance, along with other benefits and disbenefits. So, for example, effects on the green belt. And this informs the overall balance and decision which must be made in accordance with the local plan unless material considerations indicate otherwise. In its response to the consultation on the draft NPPF, Burnley Council told the government, we would welcome more policy and guidance with regard to battery storage proposals. Similar points were made by other respondents, and the government in its response stated that after considering the comments received, requesting further clarity on terminology and application of policy for renewable and low-carbon energy development, we will shortly be updating planning practice guidance to support these changes in practice. The planning practice guidance has not yet been updated. The Council has in place an up-to-date local plan. The plan was adopted in 2018 and a review undertaken in 2024 concluded that there are no requirement to update the plan in full or in part. The Council's planning policies with regard to renewable energy are set out in section 5.6, policies CC1 and CC2. In accordance with CC1 and CC4, where mitigation is required to make impacts acceptable, these will be secured through condition, agreement, and if necessary, a planning contribution. The government also confirmed in its response to the NPPF consultation that onshore wind is to be re-included in the nationally significant infrastructure planning regime and a new 100 megawatt threshold. The threshold for solar projects under NSIP is to be raised from 50 megawatts to 100 megawatts, allowing more projects to go through local planning process instead. Legislation to implement these changes is planned for spring 2025, with the transitional period for it to take effect until the end of the year. The government acknowledged the need for better resourcing and skills in the planning system to handle increased onshore energy applications. Thank you, Mr. Chapman, for your time. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Councillor Khan. As this petition has met the required threshold, I will open the debate to any member. Yeah, Councillor McGowan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank Mr. Chapman for turning up to the council tonight. I applaud anybody who gets involved in the community and actually speaks with people about what they like, what they don't like. And to be fair, with 1,600 signatures, there is a strong feeling about this topic. He's obviously done a lot of hard work on this. He's been involved in a number of planning applications that many councillors, members here will have seen him on at DC. Very knowledgeable on the topics that he speaks on. And the only thing I will say on this topic, because I have spoken with Mr. Chapman outside of this chamber, is that I hope the DC committee take on board some of the comments that he's made. They're obviously very well researched, including taking on board the comments with the Conservative group. And I know that will be the case, those who sit in DC. Because understanding any topic in this place is on a deeper level is always beneficial, and I applaud him for bringing this to the council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other member? No, thank you. And thank you, Mr. Chapman, for coming along. Item number 5 on the agenda, motions to the council. Once a motion has been moved and seconded, members may speak once and for a maximum of 5 minutes. They may only speak again on an amendment. There have been proposed alteration to 2 of the motions this evening, 5A and 5C. These have been published as a supplement this afternoon and circulated to members. 2 of the motions on tonight's agenda refer to allegations of wrongdoing by living persons. Members are advised to exercise caution to avoid making libelous comments. Members should ensure that their statements are fair, factual, and non-prejudicial. Members should avoid inputting false motives, misrepresenting facts, or making accusations of deliberate falsehood, as this could be considered defamatory and lead to legal action. As Mayor, I would ask that we conduct our debate with the decorum and dignity that this council demands, remaining mindful of our responsibilities and the need to uphold principles of public service, fairness, and accountability. With that, item number 5A, those who have indicated a declaration of interest, if you could please move. Thank you. So item 5A, Councillor Martin Hurt, will you please move the motion that is altered?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move this motion with a slight alteration, replacing "this council notes that" with "this council believes that." And in doing so, I'd just like to point out that despite accusations that have been thrown at me that this motion is politically motivated or playing politics, it definitely isn't. Oliver Ryan currently sits as an independent MP, and this motion acknowledges the swift actions of the Parliamentary Labour Party in suspending him and withdrawing the whip. I find myself in a unique position. Never before have I felt that I don't have an MP, regardless of party or political disagreements, with whom I can confide in, go to with my issues and problems, or trust my personal information without fear of ridicule or breach of confidentiality. This is the situation I find myself in with our current MP, particularly as a disabled constituent, one of the groups of people subject to jokes in WhatsApp comments. It's usually standard practice to ask prospective parliamentary candidates if they have anything within their past that may cause embarrassment to them or their party or bring them into disrepute. And I'm assuming that the Labour Party also have this process in place. If this is the case, it does make you wonder why these accusations did not come to light before. Members of Parliament hold the highest directly elected office within this country, and they must be held to a greater account than anybody else, regardless of who they are or which party they represent. I believe that Oliver Ryan has failed to uphold these values expected of him, and have brought disrepute and embarrassment to this town, and I ask you to vote with your consciences and not party whips. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I second the motion as amended.
Please signal your consent by saying aye. Any member on the altered motion? Yeah, Councillor McGowan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is probably the best that I've ever seen the council chamber looking without the Labour Party in here. But I do find it quite funny that on a motion where people across Burnley and Padiham are upset, should I say, I'm choosing my words very wisely, about the conduct of our MP, that all the Labour councillors in this room have excused themselves using an interest in the matter, so they've all had to leave, which is very convenient. But I think I can speak for us all in this room when I say that Oliver Ryan has disgraced the town, and we will, as a group, be supporting this motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other member? Councillor Anwar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Initially, when this motion was put forward, I wasn't going to say anything or speak on the motion itself, because when the story broke about the WhatsApp messages and what Oliver Ryan had been up to on those WhatsApp messages, and obviously my initial response, I was contacted by the media to give a response and provide a comment on what I felt or what I thought had happened and what should be the action going forward. But I felt at the time that, you know, it's not my style to kick a man when he's down. I don't think that's the right thing to do, and you know, any comments that I made would not have made a slight bit of difference. But actually now, just seeing what the Labour Party have just done, or the Labour group have just done there, by using a technicality to walk out the room, just so either they don't have to take part in the debate or listen to the views of other members, I think is appalling, really. And it's not standing up for the constituents that we represent. And the reason I say that is that those are the same Labour councillors, when we left the Labour Party on a principle because innocent people were being killed, it was described by the Labour Party and our Labour colleagues as shaking off the fleas. It was described as, these are not former Labour, these are Gaza rebels. And yet we left on a principle because we said we didn't want to be a part of a party that's was staying silent when innocent people are dying. And yet you've got somebody who has been homophobic, who's been ableist, who's been misogynist, who's been racist, who's been anti-Semitic, and our Labour colleagues have got nothing to say about it, or refused to say anything about it, or stayed silent on it. We've got colleagues in, and it's a shame they're not here, because I would like to have asked them, because as I said, I was sitting on the fence with this one. I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to go with it. But, you know, we've got one of our colleagues who stands up and speaks up for women and women's rights every single meeting. Oliver Ryan made comments, or was a part of comments made about Diane Abbott, the first black woman to be in Parliament. I've never heard her speak once in support of Diane Abbott. Why the silence? And that's the bit that's getting me, is that, you know, then we've heard the arguments about, you know, that, yes, we all do, you know, there will be things in people's past, or, you know, who's very young. But I think the thing is, if you're old enough to be elected to office and represent your constituents and be a voice for them in a council or as an MP, then you're old enough to face the consequences as well, or you should be. I think it's only right. He was an elected member on Tameside Council, and if I'm not mistaken, he was the chief whip of the Labour LGA. So he knew what was right and what was wrong, what was allowed and what wasn't. And then the other thing that brings me to is again, you know, as I said, I didn't want to speak on this because, you know, it would be in a dark place. But then you've got to think, what would he do? Or would the Labour Party or Labour colleagues do in this situation? And last summer, all of us in this chamber were collectively dealing with the issue of ensuring that we didn't have any certain rights in our borough at that time. We're working on soft to ensure that we kept all of our residents safe. And one of our colleagues sent an email to all the members that we should improve, we shouldn't send it. And I would find that. So, but a screenshot was taken of that, and what did Alan Moran do? He shared it on social media. And that is the thing, what would he do in this situation? And I think, you know, the issue that we've got here is that we're raising this motion, and I would like to hear what the colleagues have got to say on this as well. I think it's important that everybody does say it's a shame that we've not got the colleagues from the Labour group here. What I'm really surprised at is that, you know, we've got them, they've walked out of the room, but we need to allow debate in this chamber. And last week, I actually messaged the Labour leader. I'll read that message to you. And as I said, I wasn't going to speak on this much, but this made my mind blown. And the message, of all things, it was a WhatsApp message that I received from the Labour leader, which said, "Hi, can we speak in the morning, Friday? It's about the green motion we spent regarding the MP. I worry that the blowback and targeted measures we suggested by some will drive us all to the place where we want to be." Now, I can't even ask the question, what were those targeted measures that the Labour group leader is talking about, because it's not in the room. But I think we need to be able to have that today. We need to be able to speak freely about any issues that arise. And, you know, we need to use that as a sending a message like that to stop debate, I think, is not in the spirit of us representing our constituents, not in the spirit of us representing our residents, and being able to, you know, that democratic right that we have. And I think that, again, you know, as I said, it would have been nice if he'd been in the room and asked that question. But the most important thing is that we're here not to represent, I think Councillor Hurt put it, you know, he said that, I think that the Labour whip's right, of course, whip them all to leave the room. But I think that the fact that elected members never make up their own minds, we don't have a whip on this. But I think the key question that we have is that I've never seen, in all the time I've been councillor, I've never seen as many comments or outrage from our residents as they did when we saw the road. And I was looking just yesterday at an article that Bernie Express posted, and I was trying to gauge where our residents think. And I would say, apart from comments from Labour councillors on that article on social media, every single person, every single resident say that this person is not representing us. So that for me has allowed me to make up my mind, which is that I will support the motion And as I said, I would like to hear, and I will be open-minded, I would like to hear what other colleagues have to say as well. So, thank you, Mr.
Councillor Solis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like just to bring to the attention of everyone here that we have a well-esteemed past councillor in Burnley, someone that works very hard within the community, particularly and has done a lot to bring community cohesion back now. This person reposted on Facebook, in her own personal Facebook, something that she'd received. Following that, after investigation, she was removed from the Labour Party. Further to that, as Councillor Anwar has told us, it then became interest to the local newspapers and social media. That particular organisation that she's worked in for 20 plus years had recently received a very prestigious award. And because of this particular post of hers, she was accused of being anti-Semitic, and therefore the awarding body of that award was then doing an investigation on what was happening within the organisation, an interfaith organisation with someone that was suggested to be anti-Semitic. As a result of that, there were 2 actions to be taken.
Councillor Solis, I think there's a motion on it later on.
I'm not in the room, Mr. Mayor. So what I'm going to say now, if you want me to come to an end, is that this lady then had a particular punishment given to her for wrongdoing.
Is this related to this motion, Councillor Solis?
Sorry?
Is it related to the motion that
Yes,
we're debating?
because the wrongdoing of that particular person is the same as the wrongdoing of our MP. And therefore, to me, the way that particular person was treated because of that wrongdoing, so should anyone else of similar wrongdoing be treated in that way. So I am saying that I support this motion.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Hosker and then Councillor Khan.
It's not working.
I do.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, in this chamber, be it any chamber, parish council, borough council, county council, MP, you voted on the trust of the people that brought you in, on the trust. And as you all know how I take my trust. So much so, I'm loyal to the people I serve, not my party, the people I serve. And I've done it with UKIP and I've done it with Conservatives. When you're voting on this tonight, you have to, I put myself in a different thing. If it would have been me, back in my UKIP days, the Labour Party's just walked out now as an insult, would be dancing all over me. You all know this. They'd be dancing all over me. Oh, Oscar's done this, Oscar's done, we can't have this, and we can't have that. Is he any different? It's voted on in trust, like we are. Sharing, you know, we just mentioned about sharing different things. But if you all remember, when I sent a private message out to you all, fair enough, it weren't the best message because I pressed send by mistake, didn't I? But it was supposed to be to you all as a private message. They shared it all over Facebook. You know, it got me about, it didn't get me all that publicity, it got me publicity for, but it went out of order. He shouldn't have done it. It was a private message to a colleagues here. It's caused a lot of upset in my area. It's caused a lot of upset in Burnley, I dare say. But everybody's upset about what he does. It's just not on. And I have to say, we go with this motion. I think it makes common sense to vote. Again, it needs to go. It needs to go, in my opinion. My colleagues will be supporting this motion.
Thank you,
it's
Councillor
all, to me, it's all about trust.
Thank you,
Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Khan.
It's gone red again.
Before me.
No. My apologies, Mr. Mayor. There has been, I've been having some difficulties with the new system. I press the button, it comes up, it tells me I'm waiting, and then it goes off, which is a little difficult.
Councillor Lishman, yes, there's issues around it. I used it a couple of days ago, and when you press a button, your name should come up on my screen.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Right. Yes, I'm
number comes
sorry
down.
about that, Mr. Mayor. I will not, as some might take it as a deliberate attempt to prevent me from saying anything. I very much approve of quite a few of the comments that have been made. I have sympathy with Councillor Hurt in what he said. I welcome, as always, the powerful and measured comments which Councillor Anwar made. And I also have sympathy with Councillor Solis and Councillor Oscar. That leads me to a different conclusion, personally. I understand the argument that says we should apply the same rules to everybody. If, however, the rules that we're talking about and the way we apply them are inappropriate in the first place, the response to that is to encourage people not to behave in that way and not to use this sort of opportunity for making essentially party political points. I'm also deeply unhappy that this motion and the later one that we have on building bridges follow the social media habit of delivering a judgment before listening to the evidence and before allowing the people whose job it is to listen to that evidence to do so and come to a conclusion. That's a growing social media habit, and I think it's fundamentally wrong. I think that where formal processes, disciplinary or other processes, are being followed, they should be followed through, and our appropriate job is to respond to the outcome of those processes. What I have seen reported is that comments by our Member of Parliament are silly, immature, and show signs of the easy prejudice from which members of this council are not themselves entirely immune always. Councillor Margaret Lishman and I have spent a long time assessing people to be parliamentary candidates. I've been doing that for 50 years now. There has been a significant change. I know Councillor Margaret Lishman has only been doing it for a few decades, and not quite as many decades as me, so I grant her that. But in that process, there is, as Councillor Hurt said, a process of looking at people's social media posts over some time, and that happens in all parties. What that then leads to is the need to make a judgment about how long ago something was said, about how far it was seriously said, how far it was said in what people inappropriately called banter, and so on. I think that in this sort of case and others, people ought to be able to learn from their mistakes. They ought to have the opportunity to apologise, to explain reasons if they exist, and to rebuild lives and careers after the social media furore that follows those sorts of comments. Following Councillor Hosker's comment, I do indeed understand that allowing internal communications between members of the council to be published widely is not necessarily a good thing. And I suspect that if I were to look at internal communications on WhatsApp channels and other places in all parties in this council chamber, including mine, there may be passing comments there which people would not wish generally to be published. On balance, therefore, I am not supporting this motion, partly because of the rush to judgment without going through due process, partly because trial and judgment by social media is far too common, and partly because I think people ought to have the opportunity to understand, apologise for and learn from their mistakes. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lishman, and that was a very good balanced argument. And Councillor Khan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've been a councillor on Burnley Borough Council for 10 years now. I think in my entire tenure as a councillor, I have never seen party politics get as dirty as this. When I saw this motion to appear for tonight, I was deeply disappointed in the fact that something like this is being debated by us, albeit that he's our MP. Oliver Ryan is well known to everybody for whichever snippets of the WhatsApp conversations they have seen. But in general, people have met with him, have seen him, you know, we know who he is. My issue with it was, and it was the same issue that we had in the beginning where we were pressed for make a statement, say something about this. What do you think? Well, I don't think it's a very, it's not a good way to conduct yourself to, as my esteemed colleague says, pass judgment on others, but also to make the most out of somebody's misery, should I say. It is unfortunate what's happened. Nobody can deny that it's unfortunate. And I've extended that to many members of the Labour Party group, along with the MP himself. I don't wish that on anybody. And I think it was very unfortunate how it was highlighted, escalated, etc. Some people would like to make a meal out of it. We, as independents, didn't. And the reason for that is because we are better than this. We are better than this. We are serious people about this town, doing some serious work for the Burnley residents. However, and this is where it gets technical, how we conduct ourselves sometimes can be seen as weakness. So at any given point, I am probably one of the nicest people in a room, but that should never ever be mistaken for being weak. It means that I am somebody who you can approach, speak to, likes to get the job done. What it doesn't mean is that I will sit on the fence. And that is the issue that we have tonight. I am unsure why the Labour Party have left council chambers. I believe the motion mentions Labour, and that's about it. So I'm unsure if our MP, the independent, is actually still back in the Labour Party or due to come back. I have no idea why they have left. I class many of these people in that party, if not all of them possibly, as friends. And I just don't see why we can't have a conversation about things and speak about things like mature adults, rather than everything has to become a mudslinging. It's always a party political chaos. It's chaos. It's just, how can I get better brownie points? How can I show you up? How can I embarrass you? This is what it has become, and that's not what I joined politics for. And it's not what I want politics to be about. I became an independent. I left the Labour Party based on principle. A lot of people took that personally. I have no idea why. We were still friends. We still shared the same social values. We still wanted the best for Burnley. And that has been taken one step further and maybe 10 steps further since then as well. It just seems to be escalating constantly. This motion, I felt, would unfortunately help that escalation. And then everything after the motion that Councillor Afrasiab alluded to happened. I don't think that anybody can sit on the fence on this. I think that if you're a politician, you need to make a decision. Obviously, I can't speak for anybody else. I'm speaking for myself. I don't want it to go down in history that I was ever on the fence about anything that was important, either to me or to our communities. And although it may hurt, and although it can be hard sometimes, I think sometimes you've got to actually tell people where your principles lie. Nobody's infallible. Everybody's a human. Everybody makes mistakes, and I recognise that. But I think if we're asked to vote, we have to make a decision one way or the other. And for that reason, I would like to ask for a named vote. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Right. Yes. Yes, I understand that. And Councillor Hughes, I'm going to act upon what Councillor Khan has said. Or do you want to say anything that might be related? Okay, so councillor Khan has asked for a name vote. In order to do that, is it 2/3 of the council?
1/4.
1/4 of the council need to say yes. So, and
Please stand up.
so
Yes.
yes, no, here. So those who wish for a name vote, please stand. No, stand
If you can.
if you can. Yeah, it's okay. If you could, if you could sit down, I think it's approved that everybody has a name vote on this. Okay, councillor Hughes.
Obviously, generally agree with what everybody's said. Like, all the balanced arguments have been lovely to hear, and it's kind of helped me make my decision as well for tonight. And I think I'm going to support this motion now, due to like people leaving and not really having the conversation with everyone when really we're all here supposed to be able to have the opportunity to speak about it. I was also very disappointed. And I also think that we're here to represent the town, and the town generally has spoken very loudly about how they feel about this. I've seen it all over social media myself. Also been obviously having baby and whatnot. Yeah, I'm just really impressed with what everybody said so far. So thank you for at least you lot having the conversation.
Any other member? No. Before, as this is going to be a name vote, I wasn't going to say anything, but since it's a named vote, I would like to say a couple of things on this motion. Firstly, I think Councillor Gordon Lishman. Thank you. Firstly, what I was going to say is I was not going to speak on this motion, but since it's a named motion, since it's a motion that's called for a name vote, I would like to express some of my opinions before I vote on it. Firstly, I'd like to thank Councillor Gordon Lishman. I think he gave a very balanced argument with regards to this motion, and I agreed with most of the things he said. With regards to the motion itself, I have difficulty agreeing with some of it. And in terms of the biggest one that I have difficulty with agreeing to is it requests the MP resign with immediate effect. I totally disagree with that. The MP was voted by over 12,500 people of Burnley, and he should be judged at the ballot box and not to be resigned. We've seen over the years a lot of politicians have made mistakes and said things they shouldn't have, had their hands wrapped and whatever else, but they've not resigned. And we see on a daily basis MPs saying things that they shouldn't say. And unfortunately, it will continue because we are humans. Humans make mistakes. We're not perfect. And so from that perspective, I for one, will not be supporting this motion. As the proposer of the motion, Councillor Hurt, you have the right of reply.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have listened to everything everybody said, and I do take it all into consideration. And again, I would just like to say this was not about playing party politics. This is about an currently independent MP. And in the spirit of cooperation and with everything that everybody said, I would like to propose a small amendment and to delete the last section of point 3 under this council, delete and request that he resigns as an MP with immediate effect, because as others have said, the right place for that is the ballot box in due time. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Can you make an amendment?
You can alter it, can't you? Yeah, he's moved it.
Can I second that, Mr Mayor?
No, just bear with us.
One second.
But may alter. So it's after been moved and seconded in the course of the debate, he can do that.
You can do that.
I'm satisfied.
Before the debate or during the debate?
No, well, I made some notes.
Okay. Councillor Hurt, yes, you're able to alter that or remove that sentence, but it needs to be seconded.
No, he needs to say it's altered instead of amended. He said amended instead of amended.
What's that, sorry?
He needs to confirm he's altered.
So, and on this.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I would like to alter where it says and request that he resigns as an MP with immediate effect. Well, the alteration is to delete that section, just that bit, that wording. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, so what it says, request the Leader of the Council, writes the Oliver Ryan MP on behalf of Burnley Council and all group leaders to express the disgust that this chamber feels over the content of the messages and request that he resign as MP with immediate effect. So you want to say, what it wants to be reading now is request the Leader of the Council, writes the Oliver Ryan MP, on behalf of the Council and all group leaders to express the disgust that this chamber feels over the content of the messages. Is that correct?
That's correct, thank you.
Okay. Do you have a seconder for that?
Second that alteration, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Right. Any other members on the altered motion? No? Okay, we're going to go to the name vote now.
Just to get everybody to agree.
The meeting consent to the alteration.
Right, so under CP 14.7, do members agree, consent to that amendment? If so, to the alteration, if so, please say aye. Aye. If there's no other members, we're going to go to a name vote. Name vote.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. If members could please indicate whether or not they're for, against or abstaining from the motion as altered. Councillor Aurangzeb Ali. Councillor Afrathiab Anwar. Councillor Howard Baker. Councillor Gordon Birtwistle. Councillor Helen Bridges. Councillor Charlie Briggs. Councillor Joanne Broughton. Councillor Saeed Chowdhury. Councillor Ivor Emo. Councillor Alex Hall. Councillor Alan Hosker. Councillor Becky Hughes. Councillor Martin Hurt. Councillor Shah Hussain.
Abstain.
Councillor Jacqueline Inkle. Councillor Anne Kelly. Councillor Lubna Khan. Councillor Lishman Gordon. Councillor Lishman Margaret. Councillor Sherish Lawn. Councillor Jamie McGowan. Councillor Neil Motterzed. Councillor Christine Solis. Councillor Mike Steele. Councillor Jeff Sumner. I think that is everybody. Have I missed anybody out?
Thank you. That motion is carried. Motion, disability cuts. Councillor Hurt, will you please move the motion?
I'd like to move the motion with a slight alteration, please, Mr. Mayor, removing references to the Chief Executive. And in doing so, I'm going to try and not speak too much on this, but I'm hoping that others will also speak out on it as well. But I do want to just point out what some of these measures, if they become reality, will mean for the people of Burnley and Padiham.
Just bear with us, Councillor Hurt. Please carry on. Please carry on.
Hundreds of thousands of sick and disabled people will be pushed into poverty by these measures. Their carers face losing carers allowance, pushing even more into poverty and putting a much larger strain on the social care system and the NHS, both of whom will have to pick up the pieces when unpaid carers give up, have to look for work, or indeed go on strike. These carers currently save the government over £180 billion a year. So I just want that figure to sink in for a moment. The changes to personal independent payments would mean that somebody who can't cut food without assistance, can't wash their waste, can't get out of a bath unaided, needs prompting around incontinence, can't dress below the waist, and can't hear or speak, would possibly not get the daily living component of personal independence payment. And that's all of those, not just one, all of those. And those who purely need assistance to wash themselves above the waist and dress themselves above the waist would get assistance. You could lose your financial help and be expected to look for work naked and filthy below the waist as long as your chest is clean and dressed. That's the reality of some of these measures as they're proposed. These changes are dehumanising. They reduce the number of disabled people. They will reduce the number of disabled people in work because personal independent payment is not an out-of-work benefit, despite false indications and insinuations by senior government officials. And it is often used for the additional costs incurred by disabled people, estimated to be £1,100 a month on average. At the same time, access to work is failing, with average decision times of 100 days and similar wait times for appeals, and many companies are set to make disabled staff redundant, or they're actually facing going bankrupt, due to being owed up to several hundred thousands of pounds due to access to work backlogs. Make no mistake about it, this isn't about getting disabled people back into work. Someone who's medically unfit for work
It's okay, take your time.
will not magically be cured because you take away their financial help. Instead, they may starve and they will suffer. This is also that the Chancellor can stick to her self-imposed fiscal rules and not be willing to ask the richest in society to pay a small percentage more, which would mean that these cuts do not have to happen. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Under CPR 14.7, any alteration of a motion requires the consent of the meeting. Yeah, so I've got to say that and then get it seconded.
Is the motion seconded?
Okay, sorry. Is the motion seconded?
I'd like to second this amended version of the motion, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. So under CPR 14.7, any alteration to the motion requires consent of the meeting. Members, please signal your consent by saying aye. Any member? Yeah, Councillor McGowan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate Councillor Hurt bringing this motion I just wanted to say, just from what I've been listening to, you know, I'm proud to live in a country which looks after those who have disabilities. Having a safety net in place is something that any civilised society should have, and I think that we should be proud of that. But I also want a system which is fair for everybody in the country. So I did have a look at research on some of the figures that this motion talked about, especially the number of people claiming disability benefits, and the jump of about 1 million people in 5 years, and it popped off questions in my mind of how have we got to this situation, and then I kind of thought to myself, why are the Labour Party doing this? Is it because the welfare bill is spiralling out of control, and are they trying to keep a lid on it because they realise it's unsustainable long term? I don't know the full answer to that question. Obviously, I'm a local councillor. I'm speaking in a local council, not in Parliament. So I guess in his summing up, it would be interesting to hear from Councillor Hurt why he thinks the Labour Party are doing it, other than saying, oh, well, they're a nasty bunch of people, which I don't think fully explains the situation in its entirety. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Councillor Lishman. Gordon Lishman.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am having an interesting time with the technology, I must say, tonight. Yes. I'd like partly to come in a moment, I think, to answer Councillor McGowan's question about why this is happening. What really struck me, however, when I first read this motion was a comment made to me by a senior member of this council very recently, which was that is not the Labour Party that I joined or that my father joined. I have heard similar comments from traditional members of the Conservative Party, and what I do see, and debate about benefits are part of that, is a race to the bottom in terms of accepting populist and wrong arguments about the reasons that are behind the issues that we're facing. Councillor McGowan could have gone one stage further in his questioning and said not just why has this significant increase in the number of people claiming these benefits happened, but why has it happened in the UK when it hasn't happened in comparable economies? When you look at it, the difference is not because a higher proportion of people in the UK are setting out to scrounge from the system and not to work because they don't want to. The underlying problem is one of investment in the help and services which enable people, including those suffering from sickness and disability, to get over that period and then, as Councillor Hurt says, to be able to manage with the circumstances in which they find themselves. In fact, the changes that have been created have been underpinned by a continuing failure of government investment to provide help for the people who need it. When you look at Scandinavian economies, but also at France and Germany, what you actually see is a relationship between investment in helping people to work and the number of people who are able to do that. But I think the answer to Councillor McGowan's question goes a stage further than that. Our Chancellor of the Exchequer, understandably perhaps, is captured by His Majesty's Treasury thinking about economic orthodoxy that is losing credibility worldwide. And the reliance on bond markets, which particularly affected Liz Truss in her time in government, is frightening our current government to such an extent that they are following a Conservative government approach on issues about welfare and benefits. If you look around the world, if you look at the most respected economic commentators in this country and others, amongst whom the new Prime Minister of Canada actually stands out in terms of what he's saying, but also people like Andrew Haldane, formerly of the Bank of England, now at the Royal Society of Arts, Martin Wolf of the Financial Times, Gus O'Donnell, a former Cabinet Secretary. If you look at what those people are saying, they are saying we do not need to accept an underlying economic analysis which comes from Friedrich Hayek more than anybody, but in fact goes further than he ever advocated. The acceptance of that orthodoxy, increasingly questioned by people who do know what they're talking about, is what is hobbling this country's capacity to develop and invest in its economy. It is tragic that the Labour Party accepts that underlying conservative analysis of the way in which the world works. And the most important part of that, and again this strongly supports Councillor Hurt's point, is that when you look at the tradition of economics, I would very much go back to the great Adam Smith, because of his essential argument that economics needs to be based on morality. And what we are seeing now, appallingly, from a so-called progressive government, is a continuation of an approach that was there in the previous government and which manages to disconnect morality about the essential role of government from its management of the economy. That cannot be sustained. And if the Labour Party continues in that course, if they continue not to be the party that many of their current members joined, then they will suffer the consequences of that. I therefore strongly support the motion which Councillor Hurt has put forward, and I urge all members to vote for it.
Well done, dear.
Want to speak, if they press your button, it comes on my screen. So I'd know. Okay. Councillor Anwar.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Just while Councillor Lishman was speaking there, he said quite a lot, but there's one thing that really hit home with me. It's when he said, "Not the Labour Party I joined." And I wonder how many people up and down the country, and I've got a couple of colleagues from there nodding there, from the Labour group. Not the Labour Party I joined. I remember, and I still believe in these values. I joined the Labour Party, and when I joined the Labour Party, it was because I was a union man. I've been brought up by parents. My dad was a member of the union on those Labour values of social justice, about equality and fairness, and about protecting and looking after the most vulnerable. Those were the values that I was brought up on. And I do wonder how many people who are still members of the Labour Party question whether that's the Labour Party that, or the change that they voted for just 12 months ago, or just less than 12 months ago. Is that the change that they voted for? That we would have a government that would target pensioners, the most vulnerable, those with disabilities. And I think, those are questions that people are seriously asking themselves. But I think, when we look at it, and especially, as I said, as a union member, I look at it and we're seeing what's going on in Birmingham, where the unions are fighting for something for those. Stop protesting and striking and get back to work and accept that pay cut. These are the realities of what a Labour government, or this Labour government, is producing. But I think the question that we all need to ask ourselves is that just last month we had a full council in here, and in that full council we had colleagues who were asking or saying that, well, actually those with the broadest shoulders should bear the biggest burden. And I think that's what this motion is calling for, is actually those who are the wealthiest should pick up the biggest cost of that. And so I'd like everybody in this chamber who was actually saying last month that those with the broadest shoulders bear the biggest burden. Hopefully everybody will support this motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Anwar. Anybody else? As a mover of the motion, Councillor Hurt, you have the right of reply.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be quite quick. Councillor McGowan, I'm not an economist, I'm not an expert, such as Councillor Gordon-Lishman there. But one thing that does strike me is we're 5 years out of a pandemic, and we've also had huge cuts to the NHS over decades, not just the previous government, but ones before that. And we've had massive wait times, we've had upheaval to the country, to the NHS. There are many people whose health has suffered significantly, both because of long COVID or lack of treatment in the time over COVID or in the time since COVID, that has significantly altered their lives and is now irreversible. And we have an ageing population. Those are just some of the observations that, from speaking to people that I know and that I speak to day in, day out, this is what they're telling me. I speak from my own experiences and what people tell me. Whether that is the overall reason, I'm sure there'll be a piece of research in 10, 15 years' time that tells us exactly why it's happened. But that's the best answer I can give you on that. And thank you, Councillor Gordon-Lishman, for your comprehensive reply, as always. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I'm going to go to a vote now. All those in favour, please say aye. Or show. Sorry, all those in favour, please show. Please show. Thank you. You can put your hand down. All those against, please show. Thank you. Any abstentions? Thank you. That motion is carried. Thank you. Item 5C, call for a statutory public inquiry. Councillor Hosker, will you please move the motion?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to propose this motion, and in doing so, the alteration is published on the council's website. A change at point number 6.
Sorry, is this been seconded? I really should be.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I second this motion, including the alteration. As many of you will have seen, I've had a back and forth with our now former Labour MP on this topic, because as everyone knows, this is still being debated in Parliament. But to me, this is bigger than any party politics. It's about unspeakable evil, and it's about those in authority turning a blind eye to abuse taking place in communities right across the UK. We've seen a systematic failure over the past 25 years in this country, and whatever has stopped it being openly discussed has thankfully now been lifted. But it remains one of the most disgusting and disturbing episodes to have ever taken place within the UK. And whilst I have a lot to say on the topic, I realise we're in a local council, and I'm going to save the long speech about why it matters, because we all know why it matters. What I will say is that I hope all councillors can support this motion. For those like me who want to see action straight away, it includes a call to implement all the recommendations from past inquiries, and for the wider public and victims of abuse themselves, it calls upon the government to run a full national inquiry so that no stone is left unturned. Because however detailed previous reports have been, areas of the UK have been missed out which need to be included, and that's something that's being heard loud and clear by victims. I appreciate Councillor Oscar bringing this motion to Council, and I'm happy to second it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes. Is everybody aware of the altered motion? Yeah? Okay. Councillor Baker?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we'll speak on most of the group that we can't support the motion as its present form. So we're proposing a small amendment to 3 sections, which I don't think needs printing out from everybody, but it's just basically to remove the words grooming gangs. So in paragraph 1, we just delete grooming gangs and. In, oh, hang on, wrong one now. Where's the other? Paragraph 3. Yeah, paragraph 3, get rid of, after root causes, and get rid of grooming gang again, of root causes of activities across the country. And I think there's another one, yes, on item 5, establish a statutory public inquiry into child sexual exploitation, and again, get rid of grooming gangs, and then we feel that we can fully support the motion, Mr Mayor, if the mover can accept that amendment.
And, okay, and we need first, thank you for that, Councillor Baker, but we need first consent for the alteration that was made. Okay, so then we'll get to your amendment. Does that make sense? Yeah. So under Council 14.7, and can members say aye to the alteration that was made by the Councillor McGowan and Councillor Hosker? Aye. Okay. Thank you. Now we've got an amendment in place by Councillor Baker, which we heard. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Are we discussing on the amendment now?
Yeah.
Yes. On what Councillor Baker has said? Yes. Yeah. Any member on the amendment that Councillor Baker has made on the motion? Are we okay? We're not confused? No? Okay. Anybody? Councillor Khan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I think everybody in this chambers can fully get behind this. I especially like the change made because I think what it would do is encompass all kinds of child sexual exploitation, but also safeguarding in general. So I think it's probably better by just taking that out. So I'm fully behind this, and I hope that everybody can support it. Thank you.
Any other member? Councillor Townsend, and then Councillor Gordon-Lishman.
Thank you. Just speaking to the amendment, obviously, which is where we are, I think that the concern I've got is, and I can see what you're driving at by removing the words grooming gangs and widening the scope. I think what perhaps the public out there, and perhaps even wider than just in Birmingham, wonder what we're doing, is that, as far as I'm aware, there's already been a 7-year inquiry into an extremely wide scope by Baroness J that produced all the recommendations in 2022. So I'm not quite sure. Is this basically what's being proposed from Councillor Baker, a rerun of the Baroness J inquiry? Because that's where this potentially could take us. I just need that explaining so I think we can understand what exactly are we agreeing to. Is it something different to Baroness J, or is it something else? Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Okay. Any other member? Oh, sorry, Councillor Gordon-Lishman.
Yes, I'm having fun with the technology. I want to support the amendment, Mr Mayor. But I would also just answer what seemed to me to be Councillor Townsend's very relevant point. We are debating an amendment now. After we've debated and decided on this amendment, we will debate and decide on what's left. And the argument I think that Councillor Townsend was making there is part of the debate about what we do when we see what's left. Why do I strongly support this amendment? The originator of the public campaign on this matter was Elon Musk. It was part of a deliberate and absolutely appalling political campaign that he has been waging with all the authority and resources he possesses against the UK as a whole, very specifically on this issue against the Prime Minister of the UK in language which is appalling and making allegations which are the opposite of justified, because the Prime Minister actually took a key role in addressing the issues which are being talked about here. Following Mr Musk's intervention, the Leader of the Opposition took up the language and the idea. Now, why concentrate on grooming gangs? I doubt you've all read the J report. It is absolutely horrifying. It is the stuff that nightmares are made of. The supplementary report, which the J inquiry produced, which was child sexual exploitation by organised networks, which was published before the final report, addresses a wide range of issues about networks involved in child sexual abuse, including so-called grooming gangs. If your concern is primarily about organised networks engaging in child sexual abuse, the horrifying truth from the report is that you would start with the two largest Christian churches in the UK, because that is what the report absolutely clearly says. You would then move on to the appalling abuses of power that are documented in children's homes, in youth offender institutions, in places where children in care, under the responsibility of the state, are being placed, and which has been the basis for the most appalling abuse. What I do not see in any terms other than Muskite political point scoring and prejudice is why you would choose any one specifically of those networks of abuse and address them. If you want to address them, then address them all. But the first stage in addressing them is to read the report that has already been written on that subject, which has already contributed to the recommendations of the J review, which the Home Secretary has wholly accepted, and unlike her predecessor, is now moving to implement. I do not see, Mr. Mayor, that there is any justification whatsoever for leaving in the words which my colleague, Councillor Howard Baker, is proposing to delete. And once we have done that, as we should, we can then consider, as Councillor Townsend says, what's left in the rest of the motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Barton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to speak against Councillor Baker's amendment. Child sexual exploitation covers an extremely broad spectrum, and the amendment didn't make any account for the focus that needs to be where it is that is implied by the word grooming gang. I think as a country, we are very good at watering things down and looking at the aspects that we find most comfortable to deal with. And so my concern is that by just having it stating child sexual exploitation, that we are diminishing the experiences of young people across the area and wider afield who have been through some incredibly traumatic experiences. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Mr. Mayor,
Councillor Townsend, you can't speak on the motion twice. You've already spoken once.
okay, well, points of order then. I would like the Labour Group the opportunity to consider this late amendment that's come forward. I would like you to consider, if that was okay, that
That's
we do
fine.
adjourn.
Adjourn,
so we
yeah,
can do
yeah.
that. Okay,
So there's a proposal to adjourn for the motion. Is it seconded?
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. So there's a motion and it's been seconded for it to be adjourned so people can discuss it. All those in favour, please show.
Twelve. 13. Yeah, 13, Alison. 13. Oh, she got- that's a bit.
Those against? Against the motion for an adjournment for 5 minutes for it to be discussed. Are you against it? Any abstention? So this motion is carried. So we'll be adjourning for 10 minutes. Thank you. Adjourning for 10 minutes.
Members of the council, ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding. Thank you.
Thank you. Please be seated. Right, so we're resuming on the amended version as proposed by Councillor Howard Baker. Any member? No, we'll go straight to the vote then, or, yeah? Would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just
Councillor
like to
Steele.
ask for a named vote on the substantive motion, please.
Sorry?
Sorry, this is the amendment. Yeah.
Ah, this is the amendment, sorry.
This is the amendment. Yeah, so nobody on the amendment? No? Okay, we're going to go to the vote on the amendment as proposed by Councillor Baker. Those who agree, please show. Those against? Any abstention? Thank you. That amendment is,
It's not carried.
that's,
Substantive motion.
yeah, that's now carried to a substantive motion.
Any member on the substantive?
Any member on the substantive motion? Councillor Steele, did you want to come back on the substantive motion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to call for a named vote on the substantive motion. Thank you.
Okay. Is that proposed? Sorry, is that seconded?
No, you've got to stand up.
All right, okay. Councillor. So, yes, Councillor Gordon Lishman.
He's trying.
I'm surrounded by women who say I'm trying. However, and there seems to be a consensus on that matter, I see remarkably little point, Mr. Mayor, in voting for a motion that demands that we have a new public inquiry to address exactly the same ground as the previous one. And following the amendment, that's what we're left with. I really don't see anything in the motion as amended which we couldn't have passed in asking for the J inquiry to be set up. Now that we've said that, if you really need a new public inquiry, it is at least incumbent upon you to say what it will address that the J inquiry hasn't. So I would strongly recommend colleagues to vote against the motion as it stands.
Thank you. So we have a proposal here by Councillor Steele, which has been seconded, asking for a named vote. Can we?
Members need to stand for a
Can
name
we?
vote. Let's
Yeah.
just deal with the,
Can we deal with that? So members who wish for a name vote, please stand.
if you're able to.
If you're able to.
It's met the threshold. It's met the threshold.
So that's met the threshold. Thank you. On that motion, does any member wish to speak? Councillor McGowan? Councillor McGowan, you've seconded that motion. You have a right to reply. Can we ask? Yeah. Councillor Townsend? No, does he not?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I don't think Councillor McGowan has a right to reply. The mover of the motion has the right to reply.
In that case, Councillor McGowan, please.
No, he's already spoken.
All right. Have you?
We're on the substantive motion now.
He hasn't.
Yes, actually, yeah.
He's already spoken. But I won't speak to the substantive motion, of which colleagues over there already have.
Councillor Townsend.
Can I just say that these are obviously child sexual exploitation is an horrendous crime, abhorrent crimes by abhorrent individuals who deserve the longest prison sentences that we can possibly give them. But the actual crimes itself were exacerbated by failures in statutory organisations who failed to act in the interests of victims for far too long and ultimately failed them. And ultimately, we've got to ensure that that never happens again. We, on this side of the chamber, we fully support the work done to date to learn of the past failures and the recommendations identified in the J report into child sexual abuse of all kinds. But what and at the heart is ensuring that the trauma of victims is never felt again, or certainly to as little extent as possible in the future, and never exacerbated by statutory authorities. We do welcome the announcement by the Home Secretary on the January the 16th to address the 20 recommendations in the final report that was published in October 2022 from the 7-year inquiry, which was called the J report. And I think it's worth noting what Baroness J said on the 21st of January this year, when she said that basically the Conservative government had done absolutely nothing with those recommendations since January 2022, and basically describing their response as inconsequential, insubstantial, and they were committed to nothing. And it's interesting now that as an afterthought at the 23:59, just before this council starts, an amendment appears that basically Conservatives, for the first time, actually put it in writing that they want to get on and implement those recommendations. How convenient. So we will be voting against this motion. We agree with what Councillor Lishman just said there, in terms of this piece of work that's left with this motion has already been done. And I see Councillor Hofstra shaking his head there, basically wanting another 7-year inquiry to come up with exactly the same things that happened in 2022, which is quite ludicrous, will be a waste of millions and millions of pounds. And I can just imagine all the victims who bravely haven't had to give witness statements to the original inquiry, having to do exactly the same again and put them through the same to get the same result. So we will be voting against this revised motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other member? You've already spoken. Sorry? Is it substantive? Is he able to speak? Councillor McGowan, I have no issues with you speaking. It's just, I'm following rules.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to pick up on two of the points, one raised by Councillor Lishman, one raised by Councillor Townsend. Councillor Lishman, playing word games, basically, what people want to see is people want to see a national inquiry into this issue. And it kind of touches on both of the points you and Councillor Townsend have raised. And I don't know whether it's through lack of information or not wanting to know the information, but ultimately, the report that you both keep referencing does not cover all areas within the UK. And the fundamental reason why a new national inquiry is being called for is because, A, that is what the victims are calling for. And I'll repeat that, that is what the victims want to see happen, because there are certain areas in the UK that are not covered within the report that's been currently done. And the point about the national inquiry is that it joins all the dots so that you can see a bigger and broader picture than what we currently can see with the current reports. The motion as it currently stands in this council now, I'm happy to support, because I'm not going down the wordplay like you're saying. Grooming gangs or child sexual exploitation. I don't care how you want to phrase it. We all know the topic we're talking about. But the thing that I would say is the motion has two approaches. I find it incredible that you wouldn't be able to support it. One of them is to implement the recommendations from the previous reports that Councillor Townsend so talks about. And the other one is for the national inquiry to join the dots. I don't think either are unreasonable. I think both are positions that we should be supporting. And whilst the Labour Party might stand and say we're not supporting it because they have to, because of what the National Party is doing, I don't think you should go down the same line. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any other member? Yeah. Okay. And yeah, before you come in, since it's a name vote, I would like to make my sort of comment. I would not be supporting this motion at all, and on the basis that we had victims of Rotherham come here in the chamber a few years back. I'm not sure if members were aware. We had them here and so on. It must be about 3, 4 years or 5 years back, and we had a lot of discussion around that. I feel this motion is nothing other than pre-election political grandstanding. On that basis, I will be voting against it. That is not to say that these issues this isn't an issue that I don't care about. Yes, I extremely care about it, and I think we need to do something. But I think where the reason the Conservatives have put it, it's too late. They've had 15 years in government to sort this out, and they didn't. They had an MP 12 months ago who could have done all this. They didn't. The reason they're doing it now is pre-election and it's political grandstanding. On that basis, I will not be voting for it. Councillor Hosker, you have a right of reply.
First of all, Mr. Mayor, thank you. But in your reply just there, you mentioned you're not going to support this, that's fine. But also, there's not an election, a general election for maybe 4.5 years. So what's all this political bit? And let's face it, as councillors, as county councillors, we've no say on national issues. No say whatsoever. I'm as disgusted as every family in this area is about what's happened in Rochdale and all other places. Disgusted. So don't, please, start us with saying Bush is a national where we've no say as councillors. We've no say. It's all down to MPs. The other issue is, Mr. Townsend, he mentions the Home Secretary. Well, the Home Secretary, let's be right, and I hope the people are watching here, because I watch the news all the time. Watered down version. That's what she's done. A watered down version. It helps nobody. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We're going to go to a vote, name vote. Lookman, if you could please read the names out. Whilst you're doing it, whilst you're saying for or against, if you press the microphone, please, so that it can be recorded and the general public can hear it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If members could please indicate whether or not they're for the motion, against the motion, or they abstain from the motion. Mr. Mayor, please could you just... Thank you. Technical error resolved. Councillor Aranziab Ali.
For.
Councillor Afrathiab Anwar. For. Councillor Howard Baker. Councillor Gail Barton.
Against.
Councillor Gordon Birtwistle.
For.
Councillor Helen Bridges.
For.
Councillor Charlie Briggs.
For.
Councillor Margaret Brindle.
Against.
Councillor Joanne Broughton.
For.
Councillor Saeed Chowdhury. Councillor Barbara Dole.
Against.
Councillor Ivor Emo. For. Councillor Sue Graham.
Against.
Councillor Gemma Haig.
Against.
Councillor Alex Hall. For. Councillor John Harbour.
Against.
Councillor Bill Horrocks.
Against.
Councillor Alan Hosker. Councillor Becky Hughes. Councillor Martin Hurt.
For.
Councillor Shah Hussain.
Against.
Councillor Jacqueline Inkle.
For.
Councillor Anne Kelly. Councillor Lubna Khan.
For.
Councillor Gordon Lishman. Councillor Margaret Lishman. Councillor Sherry Sloan.
For.
Councillor Jamie McGowan.
For.
Councillor Neil Mottershead. Councillor Paul Reynolds.
Abstain.
Councillor Christine Solis.
Abstain.
Councillor Mike Steele.
For.
Councillor Jeff Sumner.
Abstain.
Councillor Mark Townsend.
Against.
Councillor Fiona Wilde.
Against.
That motion is carried. Item 5D, building bridges.
Mayor, before we go on this item,
Can we just, people who've indicated interest, Councillor Birtwistle, yeah, if you allow them to leave. Yeah. And then, Councillor Birtwistle, we need for Councillor Haig to propose it first before you come in. Councillor Haig, will you please move the motion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. After evidence presented to me tonight that negates the motion, under Procedure Rule 14.8, I would like to withdraw my motion, please.
Thank you. And since the motion has been withdrawn,
14.8.
just bear with us.
14.8. With the seconder needs to.
Can we have that seconded, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to second Councillor Haig's motion, but I'm actually very pleased that Building Bridges has now been given a clean bill of health, and I hope it will carry on doing the good work it has been doing. So I'm happy that we're able to withdraw the motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Just everybody says aye, yeah.
Without discussion, is it, or is it discussion?
Yeah, without discussion. Yeah.
So, without discussion, can members of the council agree by saying aye? Aye. Well, okay, we'll go for a show of hands if that's what you want. Okay, hold on. So you disagree with that? If you want to propose a discussion, I guess, yeah, can we do that?
No.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No member may speak on the motion after the mover has asked permission to withdraw it.
Councillor Birtwistle, as much as you wish to discuss this motion, under our rules, section 14.8, it does not permit you to discuss this and does not give you any room for discussion to happen. So I do, So under council rules, I would suggest next time you do want to, if you wanted to amend that, then member structures. There's nothing I can do, I'm following rules. David, if you can bring those people in. Councillor Birtwistle, I am following rules. Like I said, if people disagree with it, member structures is a place to have this discussed. Is that right? Okay, items for decision by the council, item 6. Can I point out to members that items for decision by council are treated as motions? Once a proposal has been moved and seconded, members may speak once and for a maximum of 5 minutes. They may only speak again on an amendment. Item 6A, calendar of meetings. Members will be aware a slightly revised version of the calendar was published as a supplement to the agenda, moving the scrutiny and executive meetings in June 2025 to the 3rd and 10th June, respectively. Councillor Anwar, will you please move the report?
I move the report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Margaret Lishman, will you please second the report?
Second the report, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Any member? All those in favour, please show. All those, thank you. All those against, please show. Any abstentions? Thank you. Those recommendations are approved. Item 6B, constitutional amendments and reporting. Councillor Anwar, will you please move the report?
I move the report, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Margaret Lishman, will you please second the report? Thank you. Any member? Thank you. The report is noted. Item 6C, urgent decision report. Councillor Anwar, will you please move the report?
I move the report, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Margaret Lishman, will you please second the report?
Second the report, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. The report is noted. Item 7, reports from the committee chairs. Can members please note that for this item, they should not refer to named individuals or specific addresses when asking questions or making observations. Questions on delegated functions such as licensing and planning should be directed to relevant committee chair rather than to executive members. Where issues relate to proceedings held in private, members should not make any references which could lead to identification of participants. 7A, Scrutiny Committee. Councillor McGowan, will you move the report at page 63 in the agenda?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I move the report.
Thank you. Any member? No? Thank you. And item 7B, Audit and Standards Committee. Councillor McGowan, will you move the report on behalf of Councillor Whittaker?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. On behalf of Councillor Whittaker, I will move the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Items... Sorry, any member? No, thank you. Item 7C, Licensing Committee. Councillor Kelly, will you move the report on page 6 in the agenda? Sorry, page 67 on the agenda. Thank you. Any member? Thank you. Item 7D, Development Control. Councillor Solis, will you move the report on page 69 on the agenda?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I move my report.
Thank you. Any member? No, thank you. Moving on to item 8, Strategic Plan Progress Reports. Members, please note that for this item, they should not refer to named individuals or specific addresses when asking questions or making observations. I will take each report in order. I will ask for any questions on the report. An executive member will respond to a number of questions. The same procedure will then be followed for observations. Can I remind members with a question or observation to clearly quote the page number and reference and allow time for executive member and everyone else to find it in their agenda packs. Members should note that PF20 covers more than one executive portfolio: leader, resources and performance, and community and environmental services. Members should therefore ensure they are asking questions of the correct portfolio holder. To help members, the text relevant to a particular exec member is in the black text in the strategic commitment column of the reports. If the text is lightly grey, those reports are contained elsewhere. Will members please be concise with their questions and observations? Councillor Anwar, will you please move your report on page 72 of the agenda?
I move my report, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions? I've got Councillor Birtwistle and then Councillor Townsend.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's page 74, PF20. Awards and recognitions. Could the Leader of the Council advise us how much notice the people that decide this will take on the record of this council being, as Councillor Townsend said, a council of chaos? Will they take that into consideration?
Councillor Townsend, are you able to take another question? Yeah, Councillor Townsend.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. A more serious question. PF20, page 74, reorganisation. Obviously, I recognise that the executive made a decision at a previous meeting in terms of what options for reorganisation the council are taking forward. A 5-unitary option for Lancashire being the preferred one. But within there as well, it details what kind of amalgamation we might be looking at with Burnley, and it names Pendle, Rossendale and or Ribble Valley as potential partners going forward. Could the Leader of the Council please tell us what conversations he's had with Pendle, Rossendale and Ribble Valley, and are they supportive of the Burnley proposal as it stands, so that I think councillors in here would like to understand, are we likely to see this as a realistic option going forward? Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Anwar, yeah? There's no more questions.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. With those questions, first of all, I just want to say I was looking for maybe a declaration of interest that I could do just so that I could get out there and finish that coffee that I started. But it looks like we'll have to stay and answer these questions. But yeah, on the first question around a council of chaos, I believe that the term that the LGA used when they came here was coalition of calm, when they referred to the way that this administration is run. And I think, you know, the awards themselves, I think all members will have read the report, it's the strategic report itself, will have seen that the recognition is not just from the LGA, but to be shortlisted for these prestigious awards with the MJ and with the LGC, and to see not just the council, but also members of our staff as well. And it's fantastic to see one of our members of the team from Street Scene to be acknowledged, and hopefully, you know, we can go and show everything that's great about Burnley. I know sometimes that what happens is people will try to talk Burnley down, but what I like to do, and I'm sure most members, all members in this chamber do, is actually talk about the wonderful things that we are delivering in Burnley. And when I speak to people who come and visit, we just had last week or week before, week and a half ago, the chair of the LGA, who is also the LGA Labour chair. She came and visited Burnley, and we showed her around, and she was absolutely amazed at the fantastic work that we are doing, despite some of the challenges that we face as a borough. And there was lots of things that she took away, and then also gave us some ideas and invited us over to her constituency as well to come and have a look at their council and some of the things so we can learn from them. And I think that's the beauty of local government, is actually being able to share what works for us and what we can deliver, but also then going and learning from others as well. But as I said, to have the LGA chair, the LGC and the MJ recognise and to be shortlisted is no mean feat, because we're up against some you know, very, very, very good and well-run councils, but councils that are a lot bigger than ours as well. So, as I said, they refer to it as the coalition of calm, not the council of chaos, as was put there. With regards to the question from Councillor Townsend, I think one of the things that I will say is that throughout I've been completely transparent in terms of the conversations that we are having with regards to LGR. What I will say is that one of the things that we have been asked to do is put together those proposals as a county, from a county perspective, and the proposals have been quite vague in terms of the conversations that we are having locally with Pendle, Rossendale, Ribble Valley, any other districts in East Lancashire. We have to have those conversations, but they are initial conversations. The reason we have to have them is because I think everybody in this chamber recognises that this is something that's going to, whether we like it or not, is happening and is going to be done to us. So we need to make sure that we get those proposals in. None of that is finalised, but as and when those conversations get to a point where we get more meat on the bone, so to speak, we will be able to share that. But as I said, throughout I have been transparent and I will continue to be so going forward as well. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other questions? Councillor White?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's actually an observation. It's PF 18. All right, okay, sorry. Don't deviate from your script. Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, it's PF 18 on page 75. I'm extremely... Oh, is it? Oh, God. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's PF 20, page 4. Councillor Anwar has just touched on this, but I wanted to formally have it noted that on page 4, under awards and recognition, the sentence actually reads, "I'm delighted to report that the council has been shortlisted as a finalist for the Council of the Year category in both the LGC and the MJ Awards taking place in June this year." Most members will remember when the LGC visited last year and the enormous amount of work that went behind that with the officers and them interviewing members in these chambers. I think I just didn't want to downplay it. I wanted it on record that this is a massive achievement that has taken place under the coalition of Calm, where parties are working together across parties for the benefit of Burnley, and that is formally recognised, so much so that we are up for 2 awards, and I didn't want to downplay that. I just thought it deserved a special mention. So congratulations to the leader of the council and all the officers that worked so diligently and so hard, and I just wanted to thank them on behalf of everybody here. Thank you.
Any other observations? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'd like to respond because it was something nice being said, so I thought I'd take that opportunity. And I welcome what Councillor Khan has said, and I didn't ask her to say that, by the way. She said that of her own accord. But anything that we do as a council, it's a team effort. And sometimes we, as the elected members, or as an executive, or as a leadership, will be at the forefront of it. But I just want to say thank you to all of our staff who actually deliver the work and get that done on the ground. And also because as an executive, and I think I speak for all exec members, is that we have a shared vision that aligns with the thinking and the thoughts and processes of the staff as well. And that's why we're able to do what we do. But I don't think any of us should take what we're delivering here at Burnley lightly. And it's not just about the awards. You only need to look down the road in terms of the audit report that's come out at Pendle and some of the damning things that report has found. And that's why I've always said that, local government reorganisation is something that I'm not in favour of, because we do things well, we manage our finances well, and we deliver for our residents, and we do it to the best of our ability. And we see that others are not able to do that. And I think, sometimes what people can do is they can stretch the truth a little bit and, say that Pendle are our partners. We're not partners with Pendle. If we do go into, local government reorganisation does happen, Burnley Council, Pendle will all disappear, and, a new council will be formed. So we need to be clear on what will happen if these things go on in the future. But don't underplay it. Don't actually, talk down our town and the achievements actually of all of us as members, but particularly the achievements of our staff in terms of what we're delivering for our residents. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Report on page 75 of the agenda.
Move the report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Barton and then Councillor Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Lishman. I'm delighted with the news that we are the second in the country to achieve gold status for the Carbon Literacy Trust Award. Now, I'm not sure if I've mentioned this previously, but I was just wondering if there was a chance I might get invited to come and do the training face to face.
Any, Councillor Hosker, please. A member has a right to ask questions and you have the right to listen. Any other member? Councillor Townsend.
Oops, sorry. Do I need to say that again? But PF 19, page 76, right at the top of the page. And it relates a little bit to the motion we were discussing earlier as well in terms of disability benefits and those on working age who are on the lowest incomes. So my question is, basically in year 23-24, those on the lowest incomes in the borough paid zero council tax. This year, under the 25-26 budget, they will pay £167, and next year, under a decision that the executive took in February 2024, the amount they pay will go to over £250. Now, does it not smack of a little bit of hypocrisy to basically start blaming government for everything? Do you now regret the fact that you've put in council tax up progressively over the last 2 years and you've still another year to go that I recognise Councillor Hurt and the Greens all supported as well? So all I would say is that sometimes we need to put our own house in order before we start telling others exactly how they should be performing their business. So the question is, do you regret putting council tax up for those on the lowest incomes? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other member? No. Are you okay to take another question, Councillor Richmond? Councillor McGuire? No. Okay. Observation. Okay. Councillor Richmond?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In answer to Councillor Barton, we're not doing any more face-to-face training. There will be training available remotely for all councillors. I think we've tried now on a number of occasions to get councillors to take up the offer around the carbon training, and we've had really a poor take-up. Therefore, the decision's been taken that we'll try and do this remotely to get a better opportunity, okay? In relation to Councillor Townsend, words fail me really, but they don't, because they're not going to fail me. But it's interesting that now he's in opposition, we shouldn't be putting the council tax up. But when the Labour Party were in control, this was the normal practice that happened. Sadly, with circumstances in the economy as it is, this council did take a decision to put it up. It took a decision to put it up less than was the recommendation from the Labour government that we had. And I hope that shows our commitment to trying to keep things as best we can for our residents.
Thank you. Any other questions? Observation? Fiona, you had a question? Oh no, it was an observation. Observation. Going to observations, I'm going to go Councillor Wilde and then Councillor McGowan. And then Councillor Townsend.
Third time lucky. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's PF 18 on page 75, I'm so excited to see the insourcing of services. I think that this will lead to more streamlined working. I feel it'll be better terms and conditions for the staff that are coming back in-house and more control for this council to ensure efficiency of services. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilde. Councillor Lishman, were you able to take a few more observations? Yeah. Councillor McGowan and then Councillor Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just an observation. This is PF 19, page 76. I just want to weirdly come in support of Councillor Lishman, just from what I've heard Councillor Townsend talk about there with council tax discount. So he said those who aren't working paid no council tax a few years ago, and now they're having to pay £167, as he said. Notwithstanding the fact that he compared nothing to then 167 and didn't give any context. Just for those who are unaware, I presume he's talking about a yearly contribution of £167, which I think, considering that most people's council tax is around that mark for a month, I still think that's a very generous scheme. So to try and palm off maybe potential political guilt for what nationally is taking place on a local council for some council tax discounts that are in place, I just think, come on, you're better than that. Cheers. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Townsend.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I will just say excellent diversion, Councillor Lishman. You answered the question I didn't ask about general council tax that you preferred to answer. It still doesn't avoid the point in terms of 2 years ago it was zero. Next year, those on the lowest incomes in the Band A house, 2 people will be paying £250. And not everybody, like you just said, is not working. Very many people who get council tax support are in work. There is an in-work poor that gets support towards their council tax. I'm just making the point that basically this council has one lever that it can pull to help those on the lowest incomes, and they have not done so. But they're quick to tell others outside of here who make decisions that they should be doing something differently. So all I would say is reflect on that. There are things you can do internally to try and help. You've refused to do that over these last 2 years. I would hope that you reflect on that and you maybe want to come back to it next year and reverse the decision that you've already made for next year that's baked in £250 from 167 this year. So that's a hell of a jump for those who have the lowest amount of income, from paying zero 18 months ago to paying £250 next year. That's all I'd say. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lishman, if you want to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm delighted that you're delighted. So am I, for the same reasons. In relation to Councillor Townsend, I wasn't diverting. I was simply making a point that was pertinent to the question. Yes, council tax relief is gradually reducing. It's reducing because that's what we have to do in the circumstances that we find it. As you say, we can all think about it in the future and make a decision differently if we wish to do so. That's what it is at the moment, and that's what it will remain at present.
Thank you. Any other observations? No? Thank you. Moving on to Community Environmental Services. Councillor Baker, will you move your report at page 78 of the agenda?
I move that report at page 78 of the agenda, Chair. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Baker. Any questions? Councillor Barton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Baker, I have 2 questions, but they're sort of in the same vein. This is PL4, and it's community safety and antisocial behaviour, page 79. So, firstly, on page 80, We had 37 new reports of ASB, adding to an overall caseload of 90 ongoing cases. Are there any particular hotspots that councillors should be aware of when it comes to antisocial behaviour? And then back on page 79, February saw a 9% reduction in all recorded crime and a 13% reduction in all recorded crime in sort of comparable data. They are quite substantial changes. Are you aware of any things that might be affecting those results? For example, differences in the way that crime is recorded? Thank you.
Any other member questions? No? Councillor Baker?
Thank you for the recognition of how well we're doing, Councillor Barton, that's all I can say. It says for itself, there's a recorded crimes down by that. I'm not aware of anything. If it was, it would have been in the report or something like that. But no, it's a good thing. Antisocial behaviour is still concentrated mainly in the town centre. And that's where all the resources are being put at the moment to make sure it's better. Having said that one, we've still got people driving up and down on bikes and motorbikes and people without helmets, which absolutely frighten me to death. But if they want to do it, it's up to them, I suppose, till they get caught. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is PL4, page 79. It's just in regards to community safety. So all councillors in this room will have received an email from the police, or at least from a representative, talking about the police's new approach where councillors should not feed in speeding concerns to local neighbourhood policing teams, but rather go through a centralised portal. I know that Councillor Whitaker started off a chain of conversation saying that he thought that was unacceptable. And having 25 years experience as a former police officer, I think reaching the rank of inspector in GMP, I think he knows what he's talking about in that regard. So I just wondered what the exec member thinks of that and whether or not he is happy with the system that the police have said we have to operate under, or whether there will be any pushback formally on behalf of the council executive, not just Councillor Whitaker in his email. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Unfortunately, we have to follow the police guidance in this. We can push back, as you say, but as long as the crime gets reported and action is taken, that's the only thing I'm really concerned about. Whatever means they choose to make it get back to them is entirely, well, not entirely, but mostly up to them. All I want is results from the thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. PL4, page 79, community safety. I just wanted to say on the new way of recording speeding that I don't actually mind it. The system functions. It's a great way to put it on the system. You can track live where it's up to and decisions that are being made. Your residents can see that you've reported it. They can also track it. You can see if it's already been reported. So you might be repeating work that's already been done. And it improves efficiency for our police force and frees up our neighbourhood officers to actually do the job rather than answering calls from us telling them about speeding when they get to it the same way through it being put in the system. So I personally think that the system is, I'm all for efficiency. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other observations? Councillor Anwar?
Just an observation, just to comment on what's been picked up around the antisocial behaviour and the reporting. I too have concerns, particularly around the antisocial behaviour and the way that crimes can be reported. Unfortunately, I did contact the Police Crime Commissioner to come and meet with us as the Burnley Council leadership and with the executive, and I just got a snotty response back saying that it didn't have time to meet with us. I will make contact again and see if we can actually get somebody from the Police Crime Commissioner's office to come and speak to scrutiny and at least meet with the executive and leadership at the council, just so that we can raise some of the concerns that we have got. But it is not through one trying to tackle that issue that Councillor Barton raises about antisocial behaviour. Thank you.
We have made the extra officer.
Observations? Yeah. Councillor Barton?
Thank you. Yes, I just wanted to add my 10 pence in on the speed reporting. I have, for as long as I have been a councillor, been referring residents to the lancsroadsafety.co.uk website, which is where you would now report a speed concern, because of things like the toolkits they have available for residents and active members of the community to address speeding concerns and understand the preventative measures that can be put in place with organisation and coordination through members of the community working in partnership together. So I just wanted to highlight that to members and to any viewers that is an excellent source of advice and they should take a look at the website.
Thank you. Councillor Baker, if you want to respond. Oh, sorry. Councillor Hurt, did you have an observation?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, it is PL4 7879, and it's again in regard to the requested way of reporting issues. I've been using the requested ways of reporting issues for many years in Burnley. And when it comes to 20, as everybody here will know from my opinions, when it comes to 20-mile-an-hour speed limits, those methods that the Lancashire Road Safety Partnership and Lancashire Constabulary use don't work. It's as simple as that. A few posters do not dissuade people from driving at excess speeds. Lancashire Constabulary will not prosecute in any way, shape or form for speeding within a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit zone. So until they change that policy, I will continue to hound Lancashire Constabulary at every single level possible and continue reporting in the way I am doing, in the hope that one day they will actually start to enforce that law. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Baker, would you like to respond to those observations?
Just to note Councillor Hurt's position, as usual, on that one. I'm not totally disagreeing with him. I agree with him on a lot of it. But the 20-mile-an-hour limit, I did see somewhere on one of his Facebook comments how great it was in Wales. But just point out to the council that Wales have now finally got rid of all the 20-mile-an-hour limits that they're putting in. So they've obviously decided it's not a great idea after all that. But having said that one, I remember Councillor Barth, and I nearly mentioned it when she did her observation, when she first got appointment, we had a meeting at the church and how we were going to do this and how we were going to do that, and the support from the police was going to be great. But I did say to her at that time, you'll be lucky to get anything done about the 20 limits, and it does seem to be extremely frustrating. But, well, I do also remember a councillor called Reynolds, which wasn't that one, I'm afraid. It was our Darren that wanted to introduce 20-mile-an-hour throughout the borough, and he got voted down on that one. So I don't know where that takes us. That's just a matter of an observation from me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. Thank you. And I'm just noting that we started 5 minutes late and it's got to nearly 3:20. So under the council motion CPR 13, and I would like to extend the meeting till it finishes in duration. Mr. Deputy Mayor, will you second that?
I'll second that proposal, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Those in favour, please show. Those in favour to extend the council meeting beyond 9:30. Thank you. Those against? Thank you. Any abstentions? So that is carried. And Councillor Khan, please move your report on page 81 of the agenda pack.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to move my report. I just wanted to mention a few items which, to be honest, my report is it's all a good news story. Hopefully you'll agree. There are particular parts of this report that I am very, very pleased about. And just to highlight some of them, the UK SPF, I was honoured in my position to be able to allocate some money to various parts of the town that could benefit from some greening and well-being. And Padiham, in particular, is one of the parts that I picked for that. Work is undergoing at the moment, and I'm pleased to announce that all parts of them works are, helping improve the area. The Business Improvement District ballot, this is one part that I wanted to mention because with the levy going through for that, the projection is £1.5 million, hopefully, after a 5-year term, which we can improve our town and borough with. And that, to me, is, it's a real, I'm really pleased that that's happened. Additionally, and this is just my final point, if I could just bring it up, if you bear with me. Yeah, so just wanted to mention as well, the town centre officer in Padiham was recently received an award on behalf of Burnley Borough Council for their improvement, for their involvement in Padiham on Parade. It was presented by the committee, who were honoured by the King's Award for Voluntary Service. And I just wanted to add in here as well, along with the wonderful building, bridges, and well done to them both. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Khan. Any questions? Councillor Barton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Khan, lots and lots of good news in your report. Thank you. The Lower St James's Street Heritage Action Zone, this is PR15, page 84, going on to page 85. It looks absolutely beautiful. But when I was walking through it last Saturday afternoon, it was dead. And that makes me really sad, because we've spent all this money making the area, that area of our town so lovely. Was it just the time of day that I was there? Is there an occupancy issue in the area? How can we make the most of the Heritage Action Zone refurbishments?
Any other questions? Councillor Khan, if you want to respond.
Thank you so much, Councillor Barton, for your question. Saturday afternoon, I'm unsure what time you were there, but if you want, me and you can go down next Saturday and check. I have no idea why. I believe that it's an amazing, it's something I'm particularly proud of. And I do think that it's money well spent in the right way. I'm not sure what happened then, but I'm willing to keep an eye on it and monitor it. And at the very least, me and you can go next Saturday. Thank you.
Okay, and any observations for Councillor Khan? Mr Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Page 81, PL7, regarding Wigan Calico homes to improve brownfield sites. I'm referring to Woodtop School. All this began when I was a councillor for the Berkeley ward over 20 years ago. At the time, we had the SRB6, Building School for the Future, etc., which did improve that area, even though there's still a long way to go, but it did improve it. I do welcome this. However, there have been schemes in the past which haven't come to fruition. So I will be quite happy to see that area, Accrington Road, improved, because it is a gateway into the town and will also supplement the other schemes which have been done where the Astor is and the garages. So I will be pleased, hoping it does come to fruition with Calico to improve that area. And can I ask a question on that? Because the Grade 2 listed building... Oh, no, it's the observation, yeah.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Reynolds, for your question. I do believe, even your observation, I do believe you may be referring to the housing market renewal scheme. If so, yeah, it would be great if the government could bring that back, and that would be very welcomed. Thank you.
Members, that we have an artisan market next weekend. So please shop there. Go down, and make Burnley busy. And Councillor Lorna isn't here for to do his report. So if any member would like to ask a question, if you could put it in writing, and then I'm sure he'll get back to you. Is that okay? Thank you. Item 9, questions, understanding.
Mr Mayor, sorry, it's just a point of order on that, because I know we've had this in the past about responding in writing after the meeting. The whole idea of asking questions in a public forum is that it's on the record and the public can hear it if they decide to come or they see it on YouTube. What I would say is, if somebody's asking a question that they would have asked in this full council, it should really be published and the answer published with it in the public domain, because that's the whole idea of holding
Thank you, Councillor Townsend. Well, I'll reword that sentence. If any member has any questions, you can ask so that it's in public domain, and I'm sure Councillor Lorna will respond to that. Is that okay? Yes.
Yes.
Councillor Anwar.
Mr. Mayor, yeah, just again, point of order. I was just going to say I've got the report here, Councillor Lorna's report, and what I will do is obviously move the report, take any questions, and I will then endeavour to ensure that Councillor Lorna responds to everyone via email, not WhatsApp.
On the ones you found.
Yeah, is that all right? Yeah. I move the report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the council leader stepping in for Councillor Lorna. My question relates to PL9, page 98, and it's about the Fennyfold playing fields. Residents know we've been pushing for improvements on that site with new changing facilities. Some of the Councillor Oscar, Councillor Broughton and I have really been working on. And I have been in touch with Simon about this because it seems to have dragged on quite a while. I just wanted to know, I have had a response back from Simon in terms of the timescales. So we're in April at the moment, and the design tender has gone out for how to make the improvements to the changing room, which is due back in August. I just wanted to know, and it's something perhaps the council leader can answer, but most of us in this room can reflect on, whether or not we think as a council that 4 months to get a design tender back of how some new changing rooms would actually look is a reasonable timescale. Because to me, it just seems very excessive. I would expect that to be completion of the whole entire project rather than just the design work. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, with regards to the work at Fennyfold, and I've said this on numerous occasions, as somebody who's been involved in grassroots football for a very long time, it's something that I welcome, especially the refurbishment work up at Fennyfold. With regards to how long I've not seen the tender itself, and whether 4 months is a long time or not, and I think we've had this debate previously in this chamber around how sometimes consultants and these tenders work, and sometimes those are processes that we have to go through as a public body. So I think, but in terms of the actual tender itself, I've not seen it, but I'm sure I can take that question back to officers and to the executive member and then provide you with an answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Page 91, PE3, in regards to home improvements and disabled facilities grants. I'm pleased to see that 312 of 332 referrals have been completed. But as somebody who used to work with the grants department and recommend adaptations for the residents of Burnley, could I ask the question on how long people are now waiting for grants to be done? I know it used to be 2 years for a walk-in shower, so I would hope that that's improved a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Wild. That's, yeah, in terms of that, I'm not quite sure how long that takes, but as I said, I will take that question back and get an answer to you from members, from the executive member. but it is good to see that those are being processed. Thank you.
It's a question for you, Mr. Mayor. Could I ask you to remind councillors that if they have any detailed questions, if they ask it before, we could have had a written answer from Councillor Lorna for presentation at this chamber tonight, rather than ask on the night. It's just, you know, just make it a little easier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just an observation on what I spoke about previously. I only picked up the email today, hence why I thought I would use the opportunity in the council to ask my question. And I just do want to put it on record. I am thankful for the work the executive's done on helping us to improve that site. And this is just really more of a question of efficiency and whether we can get it speeded up. It's friendly rather than jabbing. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's PE3, page 94. Just say that I'm really pleased that the council now has 20 of their own managed properties for temporary accommodation, which is meaning that the council is making great use of its homelessness funding, and people are spending less time in hotels. Pleased to see that that's going to go up to 22. I believe that's a long-term decision that was taken under a certain officer that may possibly now be in the room with us in a different role. And I just wanted to say that I think that long-term planning is turning out amazingly when you compare how we're dealing with homelessness compared to other local councils.
Thank you. And it's just an observation to come back to Councillor Baker, that just to say that in my busy life of work, dealing with redundancies in our local NHS, that I actually missed the Disabled Facilities Grant, so I couldn't ask it prior to this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, my observation is finishing as we started. Congratulations to Burnley Leisure and Culture for getting runner-up at the National Fitness Awards. We might not have won this time, but we are once again proving that the borough punches above its weight time and time again. And it's really encouraging to see how enthusiastic residents are about keeping fit and healthy.
Councillor Anwar, you know, respond.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank all members, really, because all of those observations were really positive about all the fantastic work that is going on, especially the work that, and it's taken a long time to get there, but actually to start that work and refurbishment up at Pennyfold. Councillor Haig mentioned around the, obviously the new properties coming on board, and then finally, just with what Councillor Barton has just said around the National Fitness Awards and Burnley Leisure and Culture, and that goes back to my earlier point really about the fact that, yeah, let's all start talking the town up. Start talking Burnley up. We've got lots to be proud of, and it's great to see all members from all different parties and groups that are all starting to do that. So I think we've got lots to be proud of, and let's keep that going. Thank you.
Any other members of observations? Wonderful. Thank you very much. Brilliant. Item 9.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. None have been received.
Everyone who's standing in the local county council election, the best of luck. And this will be my last meeting as hosting you, so if I've done any wrong or any harm to people, do forgive me. Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Members of the council, ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding. Thank you.